Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Jam-packed edition of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Thanks for stopping in with us. Trade deadline. Whoa. There was some interesting trades, some unexpected trades, and as always, some disappointment. We'll talk about all of those things. We're going to talk about the Dodgers and the Angels, what kind of weeks they had. We'll look at what happened around baseball. But first, it's all about the trade deadline. We will talk about the Dodgers and Angels trades or lack thereof when we get to their segments. So let's not mess around with it this time. Let's do two things. Let's tell them where they can find us online. Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
Online, we are, our website anyway, siblingrivalrybb.com. Hope you check by any of those things and feel free to send us a message, tweet at us, or whatever that is. X at us, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so.
I don't know what it is anymore. But by all means, let us know what you're thinking. If you're enjoying the show, things you'd like to for us to talk about, maybe. We're more than happy to promptly ignore whatever your request is. But we will read it. That's for sure. So, no fooling around. Let's just do this. Trade deadline. There's 2 times a year that fans get super excited where the game kind of takes a back seat. And that's after the owners meeting, usually in early December, because a lot of deals come out of that. But during the offseason and the hot stove, everybody's excited because, number one, it's baseball and you got something to do, even though there's no games. But the trade deadline, is my team going to make the trade that makes a huge difference? Or will they not make any trades? Or will they make a stupid trade?
Yeah, who's going all in? Who's setting this one out? Yeah, it's kind of almost like, I guess it's kind of, I want to say Christmas if your team does good trades, but it's almost kind of like election too, because you're watching the numbers, to see who gets elected. So I think That's how I would probably, especially on the deadline day. So you're constantly, I know I'm constantly looking.
Yeah, I don't think that I put my phone down. I was watching for updates constantly, like hollering at my phone. Why isn't there an update? Why isn't there a trade?
What's going on?
Why is that guy still with that team? How is he not part of this team yet? Especially with the teams that you're rooting for.
Yes.
Whoever your team is. So, that's so really the craziness of all this started up not on the trade deadline day, August 1st necessarily. It started a few weeks ago when people started coming out of the All-Star break. There was a lot of talk. What's going to happen? Is Shohei going to get traded? That was number one on everybody's mind. We made a point of talking about it. And at that point, it looked like the Angels were on their way out of everything and should be sellers.
Yeah.
And the problem this year is there's too many teams that are within striking distance. And remember, even though the trade deadline comes there beginning of August, there's still 2 full months yet to be played. So much can happen in that. And if you're within striking distance, it makes no sense for the Oakland A's, the Kansas City Royals, the Washington Nationals to go all in and become buyers, thinking they're going to make up 30 games back that they are now. That makes no sense. So, these teams that are real close, like the Angels, that were only within only out of the wild card by about 4 games, there's a lot going on. And so nothing was really developing on the trade front because nobody wanted to give up anybody in case they had a chance at Shohei.
Right.
Finally, the Angels put everybody out of their misery and announced it. We are not trading Shohei.
Right. And I think, and we've heard this, that because everybody wanted to be all in, every team wanted to be all in. I think I only saw the Royals maybe didn't want to be all in on Ohtani, but everybody wanted to be all in on Ohtani. That it trades that we might have seen happen earlier were not happening. And so then it makes me wonder, was that part of Perry's plan?
Maybe. They controlled the market. I don't think it was so much Perry. I think that's an Artie Moreno thing.
Oh, yeah. So was it in
The
Angels?
world is waiting for me.
And which he would love. He would relish that.
Yes, the world is revolving around the Angels right this moment.
That's right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But they had been saying, for the most part, they weren't going to trade him.
Right. Yeah. And we said, I mean, neither one of us thought that was going to happen. And
I understand what everybody's saying. I heard, on MLB radio on trade deadline day, them saying, well, for all purposes, the Angels and like the Padres should be sellers. But it turns out neither one of them were.
Nope. Yeah, and that was the thing too with the Padres, especially we heard Josh Hader, maybe Blake Snell. Those were the two big ones that I heard as far as names, but maybe even Juan Soto, that name was his name was put out there. So yeah, I wonder now, because of the way the playoff, the format is, and when the trade deadline is, you do have so much can happen. And so you really have to, if it was just the regular playoff and you didn't have all these wild cards and you didn't have the whole bracket thing, I'm sure we would have seen a lot more trades. But now you got to look at the wild card. So you had the Chicago Cubs, who, Marcus Stroman, maybe he was going to get traded, maybe Cody Bellinger. Both of them are off the market because they're within, they're in that wild card where they have a shot.
Yeah, they're just, just a few games out. I think 4.5 games out as of the weekend. That's nothing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that because Arizona and Miami are both half game out as of the weekend, last weekend, they can battle each other out. And Arizona has not played well. The Cubs, by the end of the week, the Cubs had won 5 in a row. Arizona had lost 1 there, but they had gone 3-7 over the week. Miami 2-8 over their previous 10. So that really puts them in where they've got a shot. And then you look at the Dregs. The Dregs only 6.5 back. So lots of options. And I don't know. If I'm the Padres, I probably am selling just because they haven't done anything. They did have like one of the best records in baseball during July. Yeah. So that kind of got them where they were, instead of being like 8 games under, as of the weekend, they were 5 games under 500. But they haven't had a 4-game winning streak all season long. Obviously, everything could change. They can catch fire right now. But even with all these people, all these players that they have, and they have an all-star caliber lineup, they've not been going anywhere. They've been a bigger disappointment. I think they're a bigger disappointment than even the Mets. And I think that's where we need to start, because back on July 29th, we knew this could happen because Max Scherzer had made it known weeks before the trade deadline that if it came up, he'd be open to waiving his no trade clause. and he has a full no trade clause. That he would be willing to look at that and decide, if he wanted to go somewhere. And on the 29th, he went somewhere.
Yeah, he's headed to the Grill in Arlington to Texas Rangers. He waived his no trade clause, and he exercised his player option for next season, a 2024 player option for $43.33 million.
Yeah, so the Rangers only give up a minor league shortstop, Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother, by the way.
Yes.
And then not only that, but then they also get some money along with Scherzer to pay part of Scherzer's contract. So the question is, how long before he's got a dead arm there in Texas and they realize this wasn't a good idea? But you wonder why he was so eager to get out of there. And on trade deadline day, Max talked with The Athletic and Ken Rosenthal and shared a few things. And we'll talk about that coming up in a minute. But first, let's talk about the other huge news that happened on Tuesday. And that was another game changer in the American League West when Justin Verlander exercised and waived his no trade clause to go back to the team he won a ring with just last season, the Houston Astros.
Yeah, back to the juice box for Justin. And I know that the Dodgers were in on Justin Verlander and a lot of other teams. I think I heard the Padres, but when it came down to it, when I heard that Houston was in, I thought he's not going to leave New York. But then when I heard Houston, I thought if he leaves New York, it will be for Houston, and that will probably be the only team. I didn't see him as a Dodger. Not that I wouldn't have liked to have seen him as a Dodger, because that was my prediction last season when we did our crazy wild predictions. I said Justin Verlander to the Dodgers. Was it last season? The season before? Last season. Yeah, to the Dodgers, and he went to the Mets. So I just backed off that and was like, if he wears Dodger blue, he wears Dodger blue. But it just didn't feel right that he was going to be. So yeah, back to Houston, and now the Mets are without their two big arms that they had.
That they spent a lot of money on.
And yes, exactly. They spent a lot of money on, because he signed a 2-year, $86 million deal with them, and now he's gone. Now the Mets are gonna cover. They're gonna send $35 million to the Astros to cover his salary and an additional $17.5 million. If he has vesting option, he has a vesting option, $35 million vesting option that becomes a player option, but it's based on if he pitches 140 innings next year. So they're on the hook for that too.
So they both teams took their chances there with these guys, and Verlander, just by seeing how the Astros players reacted when they found out that Verlander was coming back, shows me that is a game changer for Houston. And they're only I think, let's see, as of the weekend, they are only a half a game behind Texas, something like that, a game behind Texas. So they are right there within striking distance, and they're going to play each other, throughout the year. And so I think it's going to be a battle. The only thing that really could work out for the Angels, who seem the most likely to be in a spot to maybe move up, would be that those two teams just beat the daylights out of one another and wear them out. And the Angels are able to take advantage of that and, win some extra games and get in, because that might be their best option to get into the playoffs, depending on, how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah. They could, the Angels could just play their games, not worry about Houston, not worry about Texas, and just let Texas and Houston battle it out. That's a good strategy. I like that.
That would be good. Now, what was interesting was that after Verlander left for Houston, Scherzer had talked. He had his introductory press conference in Arlington, and the questions that came out, about going, and like I said, he talked to Ken Rosenthal there at the Athletic. It looks like that, based off what he's saying, the Mets have thrown in the towel not only for this season, but next season as well. And they were open to trade anybody who had a free agent contract or had a contract that ended in 2024. So anybody that's not going to be here past 2024, we're going to get rid of, and we're looking more to build for 2025 or 2026. And per them, he says Billy Epler, the GM, vice president of operations or whatever he is, said more likely 26.
Yeah. Scherzer asked him. He said, "Okay, are we reloading for 2024?" And he said, "No, we're not." And it's the earliest would be 25, but as you just said, more like 26. And we're going to be making trades around that. So, and he said 2024 season is going to be more of a transitionary year. And the only thing I think of is the Mets fans who were so excited. You had Steve Cohen, who has, pockets full of money stashed everywhere, thinking you can buy this team, and now it's imploding.
Yeah, because he didn't get. There's still players on that team that aren't good players, and obviously Pete Alonso, who's been having issues this season, he was even supposedly tradable because his contract ends next year. He didn't go anyplace, but there's just that thing that it's like they didn't buy the right players.
Mm-mm.
And if he wanted to do that, he probably could have, but he didn't get to the right player.
I don't think he got to the right players. And then I also think about the Padres and how they kind of had the same philosophy as, you just throw money, but you have to think of the team concept. And so you have players and they're good players, but are they going to play well together as a team? Obviously, I don't think that you really, that until maybe you talk to them, you interview them, whatever. But I think Padres are a really good example of that, because we've heard over this season lots of drama in the clubhouse. I don't know about the Mets so much. They just seem, when I've watched them play, especially that last series they played in New York against the Dodgers, they looked defeated.
We did see a couple of years ago with the Mariners that they were playing solid baseball, and then they traded a player and it shook up their clubhouse. Mm-hmm. And they kind of fell off from there. And that guy was Kendall Graveman. They traded him to Houston. Well, Kendall spent a little time in Houston, left Houston and went to the White Sox, and is back with Houston. They just the White Sox just traded him back to Houston for a catcher. But you're right. That's the thing. When certain players, you don't know if somebody's coming in is going to have an impact on the clubhouse, negative or positive. And like Graveman, a negative impact on that. So as we walk through this, teams trying to get better, the Blue Jays trying to, when you think about it, every team in the American League East is in the playoff race.
Yes.
And so there are a lot of talk about Boston. Boston made a couple of moves. We'll talk about one of them here in a little bit, the next segment, but they didn't really make any big moves. As their GM said, we're not going to make moves just to make moves. So they did what they needed to, but nothing else seemed to materialize. They basically kind of stand pat with where they were. The Blue Jays, on the other hand, do get somebody that the Dodgers had possibly targeted during the talks. Jordan Hicks, pitcher, ends up going to Toronto, and which is good for them because they had just placed their closer on the IL. And since we're talking about Blue Jays being on the IL, looks like the Blue Jays went to the well once again with the Cardinals and got Paul DeYoung after Bo Bichette comes up lame coming around first base game the other night, and they were able to get somebody to come in and play in the meantime. They don't know how bad it is. They don't think it's as bad as it seemed, but no idea if he'll be on the IL or how that's going to affect him. But they didn't fool around. They went out and got a replacement for him.
Yeah, they knew what they needed, and exactly. They're like, okay, he's most likely going to be on the wheel. So how do we remedy this right now? Because it didn't look good when he came up. So, but so they get Paul DeYoung and some cash from the Cardinals, and they give away a right-handed pitcher in Matt Swanson. And not too bad. So he's in the minors, but that's the Cardinals were not, made it known that they weren't, they were probably sellers, and they get somebody they can put in their farm system and go from there. So yeah, that was a good move for the Blue Jays. And then the Cardinals also traded Jordan Montgomery, another one that the Dodgers were supposedly looking at. Thing is, though, those two pitchers that we just talked about were also connected in with the potential deal for Nolan Arenado, maybe. Right. And, that obviously didn't happen, but because that would have been the biggest thing right there had they done that. If that had happened, that would have been, that would have, I guess, won the trade deadline. Yeah, that would have been huge. Now, it also leads, and we'll ask these questions when we talk about, we're going to overlook what's going on with the Dodgers and the Angels. We'll talk more about their moves during their segments. But when you hear some of these moves, it makes you wonder, where were these teams, knowing what they needed, especially with the Dodgers in pitching right now? Well, every team in pitching, but since we focus on the Dodgers and the Angels, how does it affect them? Aaron Savali, who was with Cleveland, ends up going to Tampa and helps with they've got a great pitching staff, but it's falling apart. You got guys on the IL. Tyler Glasnow just had a pretty good outing the other day. Plus, I hear he's sensational in his new movie, Oppenheimer. And so it's just, how does that work? Well, now Cleveland, they got back a minor leaguer. That's what they're looking for. People that they don't necessarily have to play now, and it's easy for the teams in the Central. Didn't really make any big AL Central. Didn't really make any big moves because they're all so close. Anybody could end up winning this, even if they did, trade off some of their top players. The Diamondbacks picked up Paul Sewald, reliever from the Mariners, sent off 3 infielders to them, and helps. They need pitching. They've had pitching issues. That helped. Mark Canha, who was rumored maybe as a Dodger pickup, I think along with Tommy Pham. Mark Canha goes to the Brewers. Yeah, that was a surprise for me. I I know he is, he's going to be a free agent, but I don't know. I thought maybe the Mets would just kind of hold on to him because he's going to be a free agent. Just let him play out the season. But yeah, he's going to be a Brewer in Milwaukee. And, and he's, batting 245. He's got 6 home runs. So not too bad.
They need people to come in, and he's a veteran. He's a good, he can be a solid player. So they got him to help solidify some spots, give him a little depth. A guy that I mentioned early on about somebody should be watching for him, whether it be the Angels or the Dodgers, Heimer Candelario, out of the Nationals, off the Nationals, is a Cub.
Yes, a Cub, and the thing, he's a switch hitter, and he was on a 1-year, $5 million contract with the Nationals. So he gets an upgrade as a player because now he's with a team that is, fighting for a wild card. And, he's going to be, I think, with the Cubs, they need, they've had some guys on the wheel, and especially in that infield. So, if I don't know if he just plays third base or if he can just play, they can slot him anywhere.
He can play first base as well, I've heard.
Yeah. So that'd be a good pickup for the Cubs.
Old friend AJ Pollock is a Giant.
Yeah, it's weird how former Dodgers, not all of them, but he joins a lot of his former teammates, Alex Wood, Ross Stripling, Jock Peterson, in Orange and Black up in San Francisco.
Yeah, there's a couple of relievers there too. That were up there. So, what that does for the Nationals, how much that really makes. Pollock's not having a great year, but once again, solid veteran who can provide some depth, maybe come up big in a pinch hitting spot. There's a lot there, and they are, too, at this point, in the wild card, San Francisco is the top. They're a half game in front of Philadelphia and Cincinnati in the 3 wild card spots. They're right there. Arizona's right on the outside looking in, but they're both like within, half game, a game of each other. And they flip-flop throughout the last few weeks when they've been playing each other quite a bit. So as of the weekend, both of them were only a half game out of, 3 games out. San Francisco 3 games out of first place, and Arizona 4 games out of first place with the Dodgers at the top. Like I said, there was a few other moves that really weren't anything huge, as far as some lower level names. The Reds picked up a pitcher from the A's for a pitcher, trying to make little things, strengthen it up for a run. And then, like I said, we talked about the 2 big things. The Braves, who were in on, or rumored to be in on Scherzer, Verlander, all the big pitchers, because they've had pitching issues as well. They pick up Brad Hand from the Rockies. And, he's been a decent reliever through the years. His 9th team that he's played with. So they picked him up.
He's one of those guys that you're like, I thought he played for that team. Well, he did, but now he plays for the other team.
Wasn't he a Philly? Yeah,
right.
That was like 3 teams ago, though.
That's right.
Can't keep up with him.
No.
And then some last-minute deals on trade deadline day. One that part of it surprised me. The other part I had been saying we should go get him. Rich Hill will be leaving the Pirates. He and my favorite, G-Man Choi, which I'm a little upset about this because they're going to the Padres.
Yeah, that's the only thing. When I saw the 2, I was like, really? To any other team but the Padres. Rich Hill, oldest player in Major League Baseball, 43 years old. But he can cover innings. I mean, he's got a 4.76 ERA, and 119 innings are the second most thrown by a Pirate starter this season. So he is the workhorse. He could be the workhorse of your rotation.
Yeah, he can. 41 years old. He's 42, whatever he is.
He's 43.
43. See,
He's the
still
oldest
doing it.
player. Yeah, oldest player, Major League Baseball.
Verlander's right behind him, right? 41.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the only thing is those two now have to be in brown and gold. But
yeah,
we'll be able to see them
more often.
More often.
Well, I like G-Man Choi. I hate to see him in that. I preferred the black and the gold.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
And so another guy who was talked a lot and about and tied to the Dodgers briefly as well, Michael Lorenzen. He ends up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a surprise to me. I thought I didn't think that the Dodgers, and I know we're going to talk about them in the segment, but I didn't think that they would get when I know they weren't going to go after Scherzer. I didn't think that Verlander, but I was thinking, I thought Michael Lorenzen would be a good fit for the Dodgers rotation. Mm-hmm. But instead, he goes to Philadelphia. We had heard Baltimore was also interested, but he ends up in Philly.
Well, since you brought up Baltimore on a last-minute deal picks up another Cardinal pitcher that was shipped out in Jack Flaherty. And the Cardinals definitely in need of pitching, and he's a good guy for them. He's pitched well for the Cardinals, and he's got some good experience, and so definitely a good pickup for them. The Brewers pick up Andrew Chafin from the D-backs for a pitcher deal.
Now, what lake is there? A lake near Milwaukee or a body of water that he can live on a houseboat? Didn't he live on a houseboat?
Yeah, he did. When he got to the A's, he was like, yeah, looking for a houseboat. Well, the Great Lakes are right up.
Right. That's what I was thinking. So maybe.
I don't know specifically, how far he would have to be from Milwaukee to a body of water. But right. We'll have to do a little research on that. We'll have to do a deep dive.
Yeah. The Yankees were pretty quiet, but we did hear a lot of chatter because we thought, maybe the Yankees would possibly, they would trade this guy, trade that guy. And none of that really came to fruition.
Yeah, there was all the talk about like Isaiah Kiner Falafel or
right,
or Harrison Bader, because they're free agents at the end of the year and stuff like that. But
but they ended up on the trade deadline getting right-handed pitcher Keenan Middleton. Keenan. I always say it the wrong way. Keenan.
Yeah, because of the way it's spelled.
Yeah. From the White Sox, because the White Sox pretty much, they were selling everyone, it seemed. I had heard and read, they were willing to talk about anyone but Luis Robert.
Right.
And to be honest, I was really hoping Dylan Cease. And they were willing to talk about it until trade deadline, and then
they ran out of time.
No. There was no more time.
They ran out of time, and Dylan Cease stays in Chicago. Another name that we were thinking was gonna move was Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers.
Right.
And honestly, most people are like, why wouldn't you want to play where he was potentially going to be traded to? And that was the Dodgers. The deal was done between the Tigers and the Dodgers, but they forgot one little pesky detail.
Yeah, he had a no trade clause with 10 teams. And one of those 10 teams was the Dodgers, and he invoked that and is not going to be in LA, which I'm just like, come on. You want in your career, you get to wear Dodger blue. Come on. What's better than that? But he said he wanted to stay on the East Coast. I hate to break it to him, or close to family on the East Coast. Detroit is not on the East Coast, but I guess it puts him closer to the East Coast.
There is that, depending on where they're at. Or maybe he was hoping that if he got traded, it would be to
right.
the East.
Yes.
But that doesn't work. And it kind of, we got questions about that. But he's one. Dylan Cease, of course, is one that doesn't go anywhere, that we kind of expected. Other moves that came in at the end, Josh Bell leaves the Guardians and heads to Miami. The closer for the Royals goes to the Padres. Scott Barlow will actually end up being a setup man, more in the middle, 6th or 7th guy, with Josh Hader not going anywhere, which we expected. We expected him to go somewhere. Padres also get Garrett Cooper from the Marlins, so they've got some more bats there. I just wonder where they're all, where these guys are all going to play.
Yeah, that's always a question for me, especially now. I always think that there are some players trades that are done before, because everyone kind of knows the trade deadline as you get closer to it, the more deals. So I always think some of these players, not all, but some of them, you think, well, maybe they're getting them now to be used as part of a trade package, maybe.
Right.
But
that's good if you get them early, but not on the day.
No, not on the day. It doesn't work. That doesn't work well. But the Marlins they're another one that, they are making some moves because they're in that wild card hunt. The Marlins are getting Ryan Weathers, who is a left-handed pitcher, and we've seen him start. I think most recently he's been out of the bullpen. So we'll see, what will the Marlins do with him? Where will they put him in a will he be in the rotation? Will he be in the bullpen? I don't know. And
then just to go back to this Josh Bell deal,
the
Guardians get Gene Segura.
Yeah.
And they get Khalil Watson. And what Khalil Watson is one of the top prospects was in the Marlins system, becomes a huge prospect for the Guardians. Gene Segura is going to be released immediately.
Yeah.
They'll just pay him out and move on. So anyway, that's what happened pretty much across the board. Yeah, there was a bunch of smaller moves. And if you're a fan of, whatever team you're a fan of, you'll probably know more when you look at, what your team did. Because there's, like I said, there's a bunch of small ones that weren't anything huge.
Nothing huge, yeah.
The big ones we know were just the exodus out of New York, the New York Mets fire sale, retooling, whatever, and the fact that Steve Cohen, I think, learned that because you have all the money doesn't mean if you spend it dumbly, it's not going to work out for you. Yeah. And they really should have had a better team for the money that they spent.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it goes back to, instead of just collecting players, you're cultivating a team. You're not collecting, you're cultivating. And I think that's the issue with the Mets right now. San Francisco did make, little moves, but really not a whole lot. Some thought that they might be, but they seem to be, and again, we don't know. Everybody seemed to be in on like the bigger names. But they're in the wild card hunt too, but they were pretty quiet. And of course, the A's, what are they going to do? There's not a lot there. And Twins, didn't see anything really with the Twins, nothing, but during the trade or during All-Star, you heard, maybe some names from the Twins coming up that maybe they were interested in, maybe somebody could be traded here or there. I even thought I heard possibly Kenta Maeda Would it?
I had heard that too, yeah. But
no, nothing came to fruition.
And to clarify, because I should have known this, Milwaukee also, along with Chicago, sits on Lake Michigan. You could get a houseboat in Milwaukee Bay.
Yes. Why I knew. I was
I don't even know why I thought that it was
Michigan.
A little more inland or something, but it's right there.
Right. That's what I was thinking, but it's not. I mean, it's like 90 minutes from Chicago on
something like that.
Train or something, or
right. Yeah, I think even driving.
Yeah.
It's really close, and you can drive right up there. You can take a boat, Chicago to Milwaukee.
Oh, see, there you go. I wonder, does that, when obviously, he's going to be traded and he doesn't, unless he has some kind of no trade clause or something like that, he doesn't really get a say. But maybe in his contract, he could put needs to be by a body of water, close, that kind of thing.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
It's time to take a look at what the Dodgers did or didn't do. But before we talk about their trade deadline action, because they did make some moves, they were involved. Let's talk a little bit about what happened during their week. They came out of last week pretty successful. They won all 3 of the series we talked about, only losing the final game of each series, thanks to Austin Barnes, apparently. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people would think that the Dodgers were not as active as people wanted them to be during the trade deadline or during the trade season, as it were. Somebody put up a pretty funny meme of Andrew Friedman that said, well, the market for Austin Barnes didn't open up like we thought it would.
Yeah, the trade value wasn't there.
We just couldn't see that working out. So anyway, the Dodgers, honestly, not really sure how to describe this week other than, I don't know, disaster.
Yeah, they're 4-6 on the week. And we talked about that pattern that you mentioned, win 2 games, lose the 3rd game. This time around, it was lose a game, win a game, lose a game. So the Dodgers need to get out of patterns. They don't need any patterns because it needs to be win, win, win. Because you've got now Arizona, San Francisco haven't been playing that great. San Francisco a little bit better, but Arizona hasn't been playing that great, but you can't always count on that to be like that's your.
And we still can't write off the Drakes.
Right. And so, right, exactly. And the Dodgers have I think it's a 4-game series, a 4-game or just a weekend series with the Padres coming up. But yeah, in this week or last week with the Dodgers, 4-6, Blue Jays came into town. They lose the first game in innings, 11 innings there. Dalton Varsho, who used to play for Arizona, and he
told you
he knows the pitching and he was ready.
When the Angels played the Blue Jays, I said the unsung hero for this Blue Jays team,
you did.
Dalton Varsho.
You did.
He was the key pickup.
Yeah.
And think about it. He's doing that. George Springer's like 0 for 50 something.
George Springer was leadoff, and he has been moved in the lineup to like maybe fifth. I think he's batting 5th or 6th now. So because of that. So yeah, in this game, Dalton Varsho, he hits a tie-breaking 2-run double, and Toronto ends up beating the Dodgers 6-3.
Springer was 0 for 6 in that game.
Yeah.
If that tells you that he was leading off.
And he was leading off, but then they moved him down the batting lineup. Michael Grove was pitching that night, and 4 2/3 innings, gives up 8 hits, 2 runs, has 6 strikeouts, but before the 5th inning, or I guess it was, before the 5th inning, the Blue Jays asked the umpires to check the spot on his leg. And it looked like dirt on his pant leg. And it was dirt and rosin and, sweat. It was just where he was wiping his hand. But the Blue Jays said, hey, you need to check it. He talked to the umpire, but he voluntarily went and changed his pants just because he didn't want to have anything be suspect for the rest of the game. And of course, there were people that were like, he needed to be thrown out but it was dirt. You could see it was dirt. It wasn't, right. And you could see where he was wiping, because he sweats a lot on the mound. I mean, I don't know if it's just because he sweats or if it's a nervous sweat. And because he always looks nervous to me when he pitches. So we still have Michael Grove. He was one I was hoping that would be in a trade package deal somewhere, but he's not. And so we gotta go with that. Yep. Phil Bickford pitched an inning, gave up 2 hits, the 3 runs. He lost. He was the loser in the game. And we'll talk about the trades here, and what happened with him. Max Muncy, Jason Hayward both had home runs in that game. But see, that's the first game they lose. Second game goes innings. They win again, but they win 8-7. Dodgers, I mean, it looked like they were going to lose. They were going to get their 3rd straight loss, but
it's 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th to tie everything up. And then they were able to take advantage of getting a run in the bottom of the 10th that took that. I mean, aside from, it was a big night. Bo Bichette, 4 for 6 with a home run in that game. And they just got a lot of offense.
Yeah.
They can throw out there. And yeah.
Yeah, James Outman hit that double, scored Chris Taylor. And then in the 10th, Will Smith had a diving tag to get Kevin Kiermaier out at home plate. And that was nice, too, because both Chris Taylor and Will Smith had some of their own bobbles beforehand defensively. So they made up for it, and the Dodgers win that game 8-7. In that game, Julio Urias is pitching 6 innings, gives up 8 hits, 3 runs, walks 2, strikes out 5, and a home run. He's still, I don't know where Julio went, though Julio we know and love, but he needs to come back because he's not doing it. And as you mentioned, he's going to be free agent next year. You really want to showcase, right, your talents.
You want to have a monster year.
Yeah, he's not doing that. Also in this game, I'm going to mention Justin Brule. He pitched 1 inning, gives up 2 hits, 3 runs, and 3 walks. So just remember those names: Phil Bickford, Justin Brule. But yeah, so the Dodgers win that game, and then we go into an afternoon game at Chavez Ravine, and the Dodgers lose. Yes, Dodgers lose 8-1.
George Springer back up, and the leadoff spot goes 0 for 4, and it doesn't matter. The rest of the team picked it up. Bo Bichette, 3 for 5. Vladdy Jr., 2 for 5 with scoring 2 runs. How about Whit Merrifield?
Oh, yeah. 2 for 4, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. And, he hit 462. He was 6 for 12 with a home run, 4 RBIs in the series alone. So, yeah, that's all you need to know about that game. Other than, well, we'll mention pitching because it's still an issue. Tony Gonsolin, 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, gives up 5 runs, 3 walks, only strikes out 5 and gives up a home run. I don't know. Austin Barnes was, he was pitching. He was catching. Maybe we need him to pitch. He was catching that day. Another loss in the books.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything. But they did have 8 hits. They were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
That right there says it all. They struck out 12 times.
12 times. I think the only extra base hit that I saw, I think, was Chris Taylor, who had a double.
Right.
That's it.
So
I can't do much.
Luckily for the Dodgers, the Blue Jays had other places to go.
Yes.
And so the Jays leave town, and they get a day off. But now they have Ellie De La Cruz and the upstart Cincinnati Reds, along with Joey Votto, among others, and a bunch of rookies that are all playing like there's no tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's crazy to watch De La Cruz play. I mean, he runs the bases in less than 10 seconds. I mean,
he transports.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then Joey Votto was having himself a good series in this first game. Dodgers, what are they going to do? They're going to lose because that's the pattern. But I mean, they lose 6-5. They do try to come back. They tried, but it didn't happen.
Nope. Few doubles during the game, but nothing really to speak of. Bobby Miller only goes 5 in that game, gives up 3 runs on 6 hits, but does struck out 6, gave up a home run. And it just seems like every time you look at the box score, the Dodgers list of pitchers is always about 5 or 6 long.
Yeah. I don't know of any. I'm trying to think, when's the last time a Dodger pitcher went 7 innings?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Kershaw, probably.
Probably Kershaw. Yeah, it has to be. That's the only one I can think of. So, yeah, I mean, you got to have the offense. And I think for the most part, the Dodgers do. I mean, that last game with the Reds was not indicative of that. But you got to have pitching. And when you're only going, your starters are only going 5-6 innings, some less, Grove usually doesn't even make it to 5. So yeah, it just,
it was Bobby Miller and Yency Almonte who gave up all the runs. Phil Bickford, 2/3 of an inning, gives up nothing, inherited 3 runners from Almonte. None of them score. Over the month of July, had an ERA of 1.56.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ends up being, once again, De La Cruz just 1 for 4 on the day. It was, it was other guys, Matt McClain, Jake Fraley, Spencer Steer, some other names that have been coming up big for the Reds through the season. Those are the guys that did most of the damage.
Brings us to the second game, which the Dodgers win. And they went 3-2, and it really, the only thing you need to know, Max Muncy. That's it. It was a Max Muncy show. 2 for 3, 3 RBIs, hit 2 home runs. That was
including the go-ahead.
Including the go-ahead. Emmett Sheehan is on the mound, 5 innings, only gives up 2 hits, no runs, doesn't give up any runs, walks 1, 5 Ks, no home runs. So, okay, that's something.
And this guy named Joe Kelly got the win for the Dodgers that day.
Yeah. Mariachi Joe is back.
We'll
had a nice
discuss
reception.
The details of his return, but definitely wanted to bring that up, that the pout is back.
Yes.
All right, we go to the last one of the series. It's a Sunday wrap-up game.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about this game, I don't think.
All right. Well, let's just put it this way. Jake Fraley, 3 for 4. Joey Votto, 2 for 4 with a home run. Oh, and rookie sensation Ellie De La Cruz, 4 for 5 with a home run. And after the game, declared that he was born, that it was his town. Los Angeles is his town. He was born in L.A. I don't know if there's a Los Angeles Dominican Republic.
It very may well be.
But he said, yeah, he was there. The guy who was interviewing him was like, "Are you pulling my chain?" That's the words he used. "Are you pulling my chain?" Said, no, for reals. No, okay. As far as he's concerned. And, if you don't know any better, you might as well just believe it because he played like he owned it.
He did. And Joey Votto hit a home run, and the guys in the bullpen had a crazy, because the ball went right in the bullpen. They were jumping up and down. One guy took his shirt off. I mean, they were they were going nuts. It was 9-0. Dodgers couldn't do anything in that game. Michael Grove, he did go 6 innings, gave up 10 hits, 8 runs, 3 home runs, did get 10 strikeouts. So, got the jumbo jacks. But as our Howard Cole said, if he is auditioning to be the home run derby pitcher, he has won the job.
Yep. Just Freddie Freeman, 2 for 3. Hey, Cuz had a hit.
Yeah.
Just over the last few weeks, he's been hitting like 150 something. So he's had that. Max Muncy for a while there hit over 300 and had 6 home runs. I mean, he was kind of showing, I think maybe the trade talk for Arenado I got to pick this up.
I got to do something.
Well, this game, the trade talk must have been gone because Max did 0. Only struck out once, though, in 4 plate appearances.
Yeah, and in this series, I mean, he was 0 for 3 in the first game, had the 2 for 3 game, and then, as you mentioned, 0 for 4 again. So Dodgers can't have a lose, win, lose. This could be win, win, win.
So with that, the Dodgers, just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on, by the time you hear this, will have played Oakland. Or actually, by the time you hear this, they have 1 more game left with the A's. So what's the cure is beating up on lesser teams. And the Dodgers sometimes have issues with that.
I know.
So let's hope that they have no problems beating the A's at home. And then they got a wraparound with the Padres Friday through Monday series.
That's right.
And then the next time that they'll see the Dregs, they'll have 3 more games left with them after that. But that's not till mid-September. But in order to not allow the Dregs to make any move on them, they need to sweep them and keep them in their place.
Yeah, definitely for that. And then the Dodgers, so they're going to be in San Diego for, at Petco Park for those games. And then they head to Arizona for 2 games against the Diamondbacks, which are pivotal games for them. They got to win those games. Those 2 games they have to win.
6 games in a row that they really need to win.
Yep.
So they can't be fooling around with that. They need to be right on top of that. So let's talk about trades real quick with them. The biggest thing that we saw was that the Dodgers pretty much fell flat on a couple of trades that we thought were going to happen. We already talked about Eduardo Rodriguez, and that I think they pushed for that too much. And I think they were really deep in on Verlander.
Yeah. And I think you had said this to me about that I think you just said it too, putting all their eggs in one basket, and they really focused on, we got to get this guy when there were everybody needed pitching. That was the theme of this trade deadline. Pitching was king, but who did the
everybody
Dodgers?
knew that the Dodgers had the most.
Yes,
They could get whoever they wanted.
right.
So we thought.
So exactly. So we thought. Again, knew the Dodgers weren't going to go after Scherzer. He's been there, done that. We don't want to see him again. Verlander, yeah, but
Pursued him in the offseason, lost out to the Mets.
Yep.
And apparently he didn't want to come back here, as far as we know. I would think that we would have had the better package, as the Dodgers would have had the better package than the Asterix.
Mm-hmm.
The Asterix sent their best, who would only be number 6 in the Dodgers minor league system. There's just a lot that could have been done and didn't get done.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the Dodgers, a lot also we need to focus too. I think there was a lot of focus on Nolan Arenado, that trade possibility. And I think with the Dodgers, they've always had that's one of the things about the Dodgers organization is from top to bottom, they've always had a really good system, their farm system in place, always. And the Cardinals, while it would have been cool, I'm not saying to see Arenado playing third base, but the Cardinals wanted James Outman. They wanted Bobby Miller. They wanted Emmett Sheehan. They wanted so much that I think the Dodgers had to back off from that. And really, the talk of Arenado, why? I mean, I know Max is at third. Not great all the time. Obviously, having a platinum glove winner, 10-time gold glove, whatever. Amazing defensively, not bad offensively. Obviously, probably hitting a lot better than Max this year. Maybe not in the home run department, but I just felt like there was a lot of talk about that, and it really just felt like it's not going to happen. So why are we spending so much energy on this when we really need pitching and there's pitching to be had? So I would have, if the White Sox were interested in even just talking about a possible trade for Dylan Cease, what did they want? Was it kind of, out there? And if it was, then that's maybe why the Dodgers pulled back. But at the same time, you're in first place. And at the end of the day, you give yourself a grade for your trade. The trade deadline, D.
Yeah, maybe
F.
Let's talk about what they did pick up. Kike is back in Dodger blue. Really, as far as what is he really going to bring to the team other than being a great cheerleader? And he is very versatile.
Yes.
He's not. He's only batting .222 with Boston.
Yeah, he is not. And he had said, he was in his last year of his contract with the Red Sox. He knew coming to the Dodgers, which he is just excited. He told the reporters he was in the batting cages when he found out, and he said, "I'm going home." So he's excited about the trade, and the Dodger fans are too. He's always been a fan favorite, but he knew before he left, when he signed with the Red Sox, he wanted to play every day. Now he's coming back, and he says, "I know I'm not in a position to ask to play every day. So I'm going to play where they need me, how they want me." And we know he can pitch.
Right. So he can do that as well. They also, they made a couple of moves quick, and you wondered what was going on, what they were setting up for. This one, I think, just was an awesome move. It didn't matter who they got back, because they were able to, instead of just releasing or DFAing Noah Syndergaard and taken a huge loss, they were able to trade him to Cleveland and get another utility player, which the Dodgers love so much, in Ahmed Rosario, who can play shortstop. He can play left field. So in the first two moves, they get two guys who are great utility guys, play with Chris Taylor. So now Chris Taylor's knee gets a little sore. He doesn't have to, he can sit out. It helps with that. But the bigger part of that deal was getting Syndergaard out, because he was a failed experiment. We all know it. And I think Noah knew it.
Yeah, I think that one was, so I said F, but I think I'll put it back up to a D for that trade because we got rid of Noah Syndergaard. Yeah, I mean, he had a 7.16 ERA, 12 starts. He hadn't pitched since June because he had a blister. And he was supposed to go do a rehab start, and then he got traded. So,
well, yeah, he had pitched a couple of them, had one more.
Oh, that's right, he did. He had one more,
yeah. and then they traded him. But yeah, we'll talk next week. He made his debut in Cleveland, so we'll talk next week, and we'll bring up how Noah looked there. The other, probably the biggest move of the whole trade deadline, the Dodgers did get two pitchers, and then on trade deadline day, they got another one. That could be a starter. He can be a reliever. But from the White Sox, they picked up, nope, not Dylan Cease. They picked up Lance Lynn, who really fits in with the group that's there, because other than Clayton, he's got a high ERA. Gives up a lot of home runs. His strikeouts, though, he does average 10 strikeouts per game. So at the minimum, we're looking at maybe jumbo jacks every time he pitches.
Jumbo jacks, fan favorite. He's going to be a fan favorite. Yeah, he's 6-9, 6.47 ERA in 119 through 2/3 innings this season. It's been rough for him, but he is a veteran. And
now some of those numbers, the two numbers that we're going with, the wins and losses and the ERA, can be affected by the defense. And we
True.
know that the White Sox have been a terrible team this year.
Yeah.
So that could be that. We'll see if him being, the veteran that he is, being in a new place, can the Dodgers work a little magic with him? They also picked up Senor Mariachi. Yep, Joe Kelly. He is back with the Dodgers, and made us wonder if they were going to go get Justin Turner. Maybe they could have brought A.J. Pollock back instead of him going to the Giants. Kinley. Just get the band back together.
Yeah.
Jocelyn.
Yes, we could have got Jocelyn, got them all.
But instead, they do another time where they actually get rid of somebody who they would have had to made a decision on, so that he gets a chance to still go and play, and that's Trace Thompson. After playing so well and coming through for him, he was playing poorly. Then he got injured, and I don't even know if he's come off of the injured list.
He was on the 60-day IL. So I don't know. He goes back to the White Sox, the team that drafted him. So yeah, I mean, best of luck to Trace. I've always liked him, because I think he's one of those guys that, you can always tell he really wants to do. I'm not saying that guys don't want to do well, but he just always seems to, and it's probably because he hasn't been with the one team, and had where he could just play several seasons with one team. He's been everywhere. So, but yeah, he was on the 60-day IL with an oblique injury.
And then finally, the other pitcher they pick up is somebody that we saw play versus the Dodgers with Tampa Bay, and that's Ryan Yarbrough. We get him in a last-minute deal from the Royals, so that way they can clear out a little more space so they can make a run at Ohtani in the offseason.
Right.
The Royals were actually had talked to Miami a few times about sending Salvador Perez, but nothing really happened.
Yeah,
there.
That's right. I did hear that. And then I mentioned during this segment, I mentioned Phil Bickford and Justin Brule. On trade deadline day, the Mets get Phil Bickford and a guy that we've seen before, haven't seen. I don't think we've seen him this season, Adam Kolarek.
Nope.
From the Dodgers. And I think maybe for some cash, it was thrown in. So,
well, I think
Skip,
it was cash considerations. I don't think that the Dodgers got anything in return.
No, but
these
just
guys
the
had been,
considerations.
Phil had been
yes.
DFA'd. He was released.
Yes.
So he hadn't cleared waivers yet. So, and even when you get to that point, it's trade, release, or accept an outright assignment to like Oklahoma City or whatever. And so they're able to trade him, get a little money from the Mets. These guys get to play. Phil Bickford's had a great month.
He's a good pitcher. And I was, when I saw that he had been DFA'd, and I know it was to make room for Lynn and Kelly. But I'm looking at the bullpen and I'm thinking, I don't know if is he the one? But, or did they just look at his last, couple of not starts, but where overall, he came in. But yeah, overall. And he hasn't been.
Based on what they had, he doesn't fit into this mix of what we've got going on.
Yeah.
It's gone. Justin Brule ends up with the Rockies for cash as well. So they can build up a little bit of a war chest, because we do know that the big thing for the Dodgers is Trevor Bauer comes off the books at the end of this season.
Yes.
All of that money plus whatever else they can save, and whoever else isn't going to be around that they might let go for their run at Shohei.
Yeah, I think, every time I see.
They need to not be tunnel vision on that.
Yeah.
Something tells me that the better the Angels play throughout, even if they don't make the playoffs, if they finish strong, I don't think Shohei's going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think Shohei.
That's my bold prediction.
All right. I mean, I would love to see Shohei in Dodger blue, but I don't know. We're going to see. I think he likes where he's at. He has good relationships with his teammates. You can see that in the dugout. And he seems like the type of guy that he feels comfortable there. He likes to play with them. He's going to stay.
There was talks about Japanese players.
Yes.
Tend to be the ones who stay with a team.
Yeah, I think there's
did it.
Loyalty.
He didn't leave. They traded him. That's how he became a Yankee instead of a Mariner. I'm sure Kenta Maeda would have stayed a Dodger as long as they let him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy who I wish that the Angels would have looked into as well. I would have loved to have Kenta. I love Kenta.
Yeah.
All right. So now the question is, we got 2 months now. What happens? Do the Dodgers stay in first? Do the Dodgers become a wild card team? What is going to happen? Too many games, and like I said, we've got the Dregs, and they've got quite a few games coming up versus the Giants, the Dregs, the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, even.
They could play
some problems.
Yeah, I mean, they can play a spoiler. The Dodgers lose, but Diamondbacks win, Dregs win their games or whatever, Giants win. The one thing I don't like is, Clayton Kershaw's on the IL, has been. They keep they say, oh, it looks like middle of August now. But nobody will say really what's going on. He was interviewed, one of my favorite, when they do the Kershaw interview during the game with on Sportsnet LA, and he was like, well, I just listen, everything feels good. I feel good, but I just listen to what they're telling me. But then I see pictures of him, because he and his wife run a foundation, Kershaw's Challenge, and he hosts a ping pong charity event every year. And he and Austin Barnes are in the finals against Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, and he's swinging a ping pong paddle.
Different motion.
I guess so,
But
Different still, come on.
Well, we'll see. Maybe there's more to it than we know.
Well, and that's the thing, though. The Dodgers never come out and they never say the full story. Julio Urias, we're like, oh, he had, something to do with his finger, his index finger, something to do with his nail. We hear cracked nail. And now we hear, oh, no, yeah, there's something going on with his finger, but nobody says anything. And now he's slated to start against the Padres in the series, but he's going to throw bullpen first. So if he doesn't do well in the bullpen game, does he start? And so then you're looking back at the Dodgers, the front office, and saying, where are these pitchers that we needed or we need? Where did they go? Because they're not Dodgers. But we'll see. So we'll see how the Dodgers do against the A's, because that's always, I don't know, that's always a toss-up for me with these teams that are not that great, and the Dodgers seem to fall apart. And then they got to win against the Padres. Who's your player of the week? Let's do that.
I didn't have one. I felt like the Dodgers played so poorly overall that there just wasn't anybody that stood out for me. I mean, I could go back to Freddie. Freddie's still, hitting well throughout that, but even the guys that you normally look for just weren't there.
So, and I did have a player of the week, but I went with Freddie Freeman, who did not have a very Freddie-esque week as usual. Batted .292, 3 RBIs, had a home run, but he comes to play every night. In the 3-2 win, he was 0 for 4, but he only struck out once. So, he was doing something to get, and he also, I think, had a couple of stolen bases. So yeah, I went with Freddie, but yeah, you're right. There wasn't anyone in this Dodgers 4-6 week where that really was like, they did it all, because they didn't.
All right, heading into the last week before the trade deadline, the world revolved around the Angels and Shohei Ohtani. Everybody wondering, what are the Angels going to do? Well, luckily for everybody, the Angels didn't sit around too long. They took what happened in Detroit, their first series, and said, all right, we're going to go in on this. We're going all in. We're not going to trade Shohei, and we're going to be buyers instead of sellers. And that was all thanks to a sweep of the Tigers, which makes complete sense. The Tigers are not a great team. They faced off with Michael Lorenzen, former Angel, and were able to smack him around a little bit. They faced off with Eduardo Rodriguez. They were able to score 4 runs off of him. They kept him to only 4 2/3 innings. So he didn't really look that good against them. It's like, why would anybody want him? He made them look bad. So they go and sweep them, have a great series offensively. First game out was close. They took them to Zennings. Angels able to score 1 in the top of the 10th and stop the Tigers from scoring anything. After that, it was Mickey Moniak with a double that would score Moose, who was the ghost runner in that. And then Aaron Loop, who has, I guess he got the deal when Ryan Tepera got DFA'd early in the season. The writing was on the wall for Loop, and Loop has picked it up and pitched pretty well ever since.
Yeah, this is a good game for the Angels because they blew a 4-run lead and they come back and win it. And I think that's always one of those games that is always like a good confidence booster. And when you look at the Angels, and especially who's on the wheel, they need that.
17 members of the Angels are on the wheel.
Yes.
There's been like 24 all season. 17 are still on. And I don't know of those 24, so that's 7 more. If those other 7 times were Rendon, I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it seems like it's true. So the next day out, Angels are Detroit sees what is happening and cancels the Wednesday game, and they make it up in a doubleheader on Thursday, the getaway game. And normally there's like a little bit of a gap between. They practically ended one game and went right into the next one.
Yeah, it was like maybe 40 minutes.
At that.
Maybe
30, 40 minutes. They had that. And honestly, like this is no big deal. What I'm about to say. It was Shohei Day in both games. Shohei
Yes.
went out and did something that he has not done in his professional MLB career. He pitched a complete game shutout. He had never pitched a complete game, period. But on top of it, a shutout. He ends up also just a one hitter.
Yeah, just gives up the one hit. He strikes out 8 and his first complete game. And then he had some help offensively.
Yes, he did. He had a help. It wasn't for any. And unlike a lot of times when he's like about to hit for the cycle in a game he's pitching, he went 0 for in this game. Now he could thank Taylor Ward, who we'll get to about something coming up here. 2 home runs in that game. Mickey Moniak with a double. Hunter Renfroe, 2 doubles in that game. Went 3 for 4. Hunter Renfroe big throughout this series. Trey Cabbage, who just to tell you right now, gets sent back down, not because of how he's playing, but because there was moves made by the Angel. He was he had 3 RBIs in there, just like Taylor did, and 6-0. So they do that. They go to game number 2. So now they've won the series. They've won the first 2 games. Now let's see if we can not only sweep the doubleheader, but sweep the series. That turned out to be no big deal because Shohei, once again, 2 for 3, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs for him before he comes out. He's had some cramping in the game, and I think that was just a lot of work, a complete game, and then hitting, and he just he needed a break, and so they took him out, but he had done his part so that the Angels walk away with the series win, 11-4 final score, and that's even with them having 2 errors.
Yeah, Detroit, they tried to, get some runs on the board, and they did with the 4, but they couldn't come back. When you have Shohei Ohtani hitting 2 home runs and he hits his 38th, which was that second one, there's not much you can do. And he becomes the first major league player to throw a shutout in one game of a doubleheader and hit a home run, 2 home runs in the other.
And then Hunter Renfroe, Eduardo Escobar also add home runs. Rengifo with a triple. Like I said, Moniak with a double. And the Angels walk away with the series sweep. They bail out of Detroit, going against now a team that they need to beat in the Toronto Blue Jays, because that's who's up ahead of them. And it's, they've had Boston in front of them. They had the Yankees in front of them. But Toronto has a spot. That's who you really want to get in there and beat. Good. Also good pitching overall by Patrick Sandoval. Not as good as the previous game, but still. The Angels looking really good. Like they came out of the gate, out of the break, really hard and fast. And then they hit the wall when they got to Toronto. And, it's, what are you going to do? Toronto is just a tough team. Toronto, by all, appearances, really could be number 1 in the East, if not for the fact that Tampa Bay took off so much, and Baltimore is just otherworldly right now.
Yeah.
That's there. They lose the opener 4-1. You're like, well, okay, you guys had a great weekend. You get to Toronto. Kevin Gossman is pitching for the Jays. He strikes out 9, has a really good 14 strikeouts for the Jays overall. Now, here's where, unlike with the Dodgers, we waited for a little bit to talk about the trades. We really got to talk about at least the first trade.
Yeah.
And that's because guy that the Angels traded for started this game. Just like the Dodgers got 2 pitchers from the White Sox, they got a starter and they got a reliever. Because the Angels got to the White Sox before the Dodgers did, the Angels got Lucas Giolito, which was quite the shocker.
That was it. I had texted you and said the wrong LA team because I really thought.
I didn't think so.
I know you don't think that, but I really thought that the Dodgers would, if there was a pitcher out there, Giolito, that was the one that just kept popping up for me. Right. But yeah, he starts this game, allows 3 runs, 6 hits, 5 1/3 innings, walks 1, strikes out 5. But when you have Matt Chapman, Danny Jansen, and Whit Merrifield, they all homered for the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays are 24-11 when they hit 2 or more home runs.
Yeah, so there you go. George Springer drops down to 5th now.
Right.
Because they played the Dodgers.
Yes.
And then they played the Angels. That was their back-to-back series there.
That's right.
But you figure, okay, not a big deal. It's only 1 game. But the next one, the Blue Jays win it 6-1.
Yeah.
And the Angels just couldn't really get anything going. They scored that 1 run. They got him in the 5th. The Blue Jays, they held the Blue Jays. It wasn't until the 5th inning any scoring happened in this game. Reed Detmers on the hill doesn't make it a full 5. He goes 4 2/3. Only 3 hits and 2 runs, but it's just Alek Manoah has. I guess when they sent him down, he's actually ended up pitching much better, except for 1 pitch that he threw in this game.
Yeah, this was a scary pitch. He threw a pitch and hit Taylor Ward on the side of the head. Taylor Ward did suffer from facial fractures. It was a pitch. It was a 91 mile per hour pitch. And it looked like it hit like near his left eye. And knocking off his batting helmet, of course, went straight to the ground. Doesn't have any vision issues from what I've read, which is good, but really scary moment for everyone. I mean, Alek Manoah.
He had his hand. He had his head in his hands. He was just oh my God.
Yeah, what just happened? And it's not like he didn't do it on purpose. And I did see on X or comments of, I hate the Blue Jays and I hate Alek Manoah. Well, he was just as shook up about it, that because he's the one who did it. And it's not that he, it happens and it's unfortunate. So, but yeah, really scary for Taylor Ward and the Angels.
The only truly other than Shohei, the other 2 consistent players that the Angels have had lately, Hunter Renfroe and Luis Rengifo were the guys with hits, but they just couldn't get anything going. It was Taylor Ward who had an RBI in the game before he goes down. But like I said, it was a tough one. Alejandro Kirk drove the Blue Jays bus that day, going 3 for 3, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs, and Santiago Espinal had a home run as well, as the Angels just couldn't do anything to stop them. Also saw the debut of the other pitcher that the Angels got from the White Sox, in Reynaldo Lopez, who was a closer with them, and they're going to use him in high leverage situations, along with obviously with Carlos Estevez. So that helps them to really strengthen the bullpen. So we'll see how that all works. Now, finally, They're about ready to get out. They got to play one more game, and then they can escape out of Toronto.
Get back across the border from Canada.
Hopefully for better things.
They play the breakfast baseball game on Peacock.
The breakfast game, and once again, Hunter Renfroe, 3 for 4. 2 for 4 for Luis Rengifo. Shohei was 1 for 3, but he got walked intentionally twice.
Yeah. Now overall, this game is the Zinnians game.
Yes, it is. And the Angels score 1 in the 3rd. The Blue Jays score 1 in the 5th, and then it remains scoreless until the 10th. And that's where Hunter Renfroe's home run comes into play.
Yes.
Because you got the ghost runner on second base. Renfroe comes to the plate, and pow. Mike Moustakas. Once again, it was Moose who was the ghost runner on second base like he was in a previous game. And it was Yimi Garcia, our old friend, former Dodger reliever.
Yep.
Who gives up that run, and that is the end of it. The Jays do score 1 in the bottom of the 10th. Bo Bichette was the ghost runner, and Vladdy Jr. singles to score him, but they were able to Carlos Estevez able to get the win, and they leave with 1 victory. They don't get swept in that, and of course now for them, it's crazy because they have to go to Atlanta.
Yeah, and nobody really wants to go to Atlanta. It's hot, sticky,
it's humid.
Yeah,
they're the
humid.
best team in baseball. You got to see Ronald.
That too.
But now, from a game standpoint, you got the presumptive MVPs from both leagues taking each other on. It's a good test for the Angels to see if any of these moves that they've made can pay off. So let's go back. We talked about that Lucas Giolito, who was arguably one of the best rental pitchers on the market, comes in, doesn't have a great game. He even says, I don't have a great game. People are wondering now what happens because the number 1 and 2 minor leaguers in the Angels system are traded for those 2 guys. Now what do they have? Doesn't matter. They're going for it.
Yeah, Perry's going all in. It's all in. It's all or nothing. They're not trading Ohtani. Now we have heard that there have been people who said they should have traded Ohtani. I didn't think they were ever going to trade Ohtani. That doesn't make sense to me. Why they would have traded him. And now people are like, well, they should have traded him. But I
think from the standpoint of you trade him, you get a haul. I think everybody's looking at it from the fact that now he can walk away. The same conversation about Eduardo Rodriguez and how Detroit fumbled that one.
Right.
Eduardo Rodriguez can walk with no compensation to the Tigers. He's already had a qualifying offer. So they're going to get nothing. At least the Angels could potentially get something. Mm-hmm. It's not the same greatest player in the world versus a draft pick, but it's something.
It's something, but I think with the way Artie Moreno is, and I think maybe the way he thinks, we talked about the world is on me. All eyes are on the Angels. If they had traded Shohei to, another team, and that team went on to win the World Series, then everybody would be like, why did they trade Ohtani? Look at them now, or they've set themselves back X amount of years or whatever it may be. So I think they were never going to trade him. It was just, I think it was a whole, their show.
I know that everybody would have second guessed it depending on a team that he went to. If he'd have gone to a team that was similarly constructed as the Angels are, then yeah. But remember, they were going to get a bunch in return, and that's the problem when you trade for prospects. You don't know how they're going to turn out.
Right. You don't know what you're getting.
So even if they're the top 10 even if you got 1 through 10 in somebody's from them for Ohtani, there's no guarantee that all 10 of them are going to come to be. There's no guarantee one of them's going to come out to be.
Right. And there's certainly not going to be anything like Shohei Ohtani. I mean, you're not
Right.
going to see.
So it's
see
hard
that.
to trade somebody that's doing things that nobody's ever done. Not even Babe Ruth ever did.
Right. That's
You know.
why that's why I think there was some, I don't know, it's a coordinated effort, if it just kind of was happenstance for them. But everybody was in on Shohei Ohtani being traded, and they come out and say, nope, we're not trading him on the day that he pitches his complete game, by the way, and hits the 2 home runs.
Exactly. He looks like, hey, now there's no pressure. Now I'm not looking over my shoulder. I can relax and play baseball, which I think he was doing anyway. He's showing Julio Urias how to play in a walk year.
Yes.
He's definitely showing this is how you do it when you're going to be a free agent. Okay,
yes.
Julio's not going to get $1 billion a year.
No.
But, you know.
I think he just is showing, he's writing the manual on how to do it. Now, I think this trade, not really a trade because it was for cash considerations, but this one is a big one, and especially for you. The Royals get left-handed pitcher Tucker Davidson.
Yes. He's gone. They had DFA'd him, so they got something for him.
Yes.
In the long run. Now, here's the thing. We saw that there was something different about the way the Angels were doing when they went and got Mike Moustakas and Eduardo Escobar. Rendon had gone down. Walsh having issues. By the way, Jared Walsh DFA'd and clears waivers. Nobody picked him up. He's assigned to Salt Lake City. He and Fletch will be playing together with the Bees there. We saw that move. Just when you thought the Angels were done, they're not. They go to the Rockies and pick up C.J. Cron, who's been an Angel before. Actually, both guys were Angels before. C.J. was actually a major leaguer with the Angels. Randall Grichuk was drafted by the Angels right behind Mike Trout. Trout and Grichuk are buddies and have been going back and forth about this. And Trout kind of knew he was coming, that they were going to trade for him. But they had in the past talked about it. Oh, when are you coming to the Angels? You know, Grichuk. I'm going to have a problem with it. Gritch is what he goes by. And because I keep wanting to say Grichuk.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I even think I heard a Rockies announcer call him by the wrong name.
But it's Grichuk.
Grichuk.
Anyway, Gritch is what, and that's like his Twitter and his Instagram is Gritch or R Gritch. And anyway, he's there. CJ Cron's there. They pick up an outfitter they needed right after Taylor Ward goes down. They filled the hole, just like we talked earlier about DeYoung and Bichette. Filled the hole right away. That didn't happen with a lot of other teams. Are you listening, Andrew Friedman? They filled the hole right away. And it makes it look different than it has in the past. That they are actually trying to do something and hopefully win is what they're doing. It does give you something to be excited about because CJ Cron, all-star last year. We know what he could do with the Angels. He's gotten better over the time. And those two guys will play in Atlanta against a team they've already faced this year. So they already know what to expect from them. And they get to be part of the Angels. And hopefully Gritch will be in left field. And then his old buddy Mike Trout will be in center, and they'll really put something together.
Yeah, Grichuk is wearing a number that number 15, and the Angels actually called the player who wore that number because they hadn't haven't given that number out. They called him up, and said, "Hey, can he wear your number?" And that player would be, I guess, Kingfish.
Tim Salmon.
Tim Salmon. And Tim Salmon's like, "I don't even know why they called me. I'm good with it. I remember
You don't have to
meeting."
ask me.
Yeah, they don't have to ask me. And I met Gritch, when he was coming up, and he's a good guy. And
Yeah, because he
so-
was there in the Angels until he got traded to St. Louis for David Freese. And I'm trying to remember who else, but he's been 14 years since he was drafted by the Angels until he actually played for the Angels, or will play for the Angels.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. And then the Angels did one more move. I was hoping for another starting pitcher, but that didn't come to be. They did get from the Mets fire sale, they picked up Dominic Leone. Doesn't really move the needle. It's another guy, high intensity relief pitcher. Not really sure how he'll work out, if he'll be just another, middle of the road kind of reliever, or if he'll actually be helpful. But, we did pick up some key players there, I think. And if you just get some people off, I don't care if Rendon ever comes back off of the list. We've got other guys that can cover for all that. There's a chance with the offense that it's going to be really good. And, what can we do? All we can do is, as the Angels, all they can do is just win. That's really all that they can do. So we'll see if that is that what happens, is if they do that.
Yeah, so they've got Atlanta, and then they will go home and they will face the Mariners for 4 games. And then San Francisco will come in after that for 3. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they do in Atlanta. And then, of course, playing the Mariners. That's going to be, Mariners are beneath them in the standings, but
that's
close
one
enough.
of those battles.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those battles they're going to stay. They've been flip-flopping quite a bit. All right. Do you have a player of the week for the Halos?
Yeah, I wrote down one name and then I changed it, but maybe I do dual. I don't know. I have Hunter Renfroe because I think, but the one name that stood out, so he's my honorable mention, I think. My one name that stood out to me throughout all of the games was Luis Rengifo. Had 5 RBIs, 2 doubles, 2 triples, was batting .307 in these games. But he always just seemed to be, and he's one of those guys that I think we expect him to be, playing the way he's playing. He needs to continue to play that way. He did have one game where he was 0 for 4, but that happens to the best of them, because I think Renfroe in that same game was also 0 for. So, so I'm going to go with Luis Rengifo this week.
All right. I'm going to go completely off the grid here. My player of the week, Perry Manassian. For the moves that he's been making, I never thought he had it in him. I mean, he was aggressive about stuff, but I feel like he's just this week. I don't know that he's come into his own. I don't know if this is what he thinks Atlanta would do, because he's kind of tied to that's how we did it in Atlanta.
Right.
So I don't know how that rolls, but I'm giving it to him because he's done some stuff to give the Angels a chance. Now it's up to the players. It's up to Phil Nevin to implement the strategy, and it's up to the players to just go out and play and make it happen. To good at bats, cut down on errors, great defense, and the pitching has to be. We need Lucas Giolito, Shohei to lead the way and show these younger kids how to do this stuff. Chase Silseth, who last time had a good outing, is going to be showing up to pitch in Atlanta. Griffin Canning gets scratched, I think, from what I'm hearing, and maybe on his way to the IL. You might know that when we get to the wheel. So there's a lot going on there. But at this point, we can't write them off. And we get some of these players back, like Mike Trout, hopefully by the middle of August. That's going to change everything. All right, hop in the bullpen cart, take a ride around baseball. And as always, we start off with the player of the week, and I feel like we've been there, done that.
We have. The American League Player of the Week is none other than the unicorn, Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he pretty much won the award for his performance in the doubleheader against Detroit. He mentioned the one-hit shutout, and then he comes back and hits 2 home runs in Game 2. Then he hits his 39th home run in Toronto. And when I saw that, I think that there were a lot of Angel fans there, but I think the Angels and Blue Jay fans were excited about that home run.
I think so too. Yeah, people were just
I think the only one not excited was Matt Chapman, who had some words for his manager in the dugout. But
why did you pitch to him?
Exactly. Ohtani produced an .800 slugging percentage over 6 games last week, and he reached base in 11 of his final 17 plate appearances. This is his 3rd Player of the Week honor this year and the 7th of his career. And then
on his way to being the Player of the Month again.
Yeah,
probably.
Yes, and hopefully we will have those next week with all of the trades and all of the excitement there.
He could get number 40 in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think he could. He totally could do it. National League Player of the Week, Pete Alonso. Nobody hit more home runs last week than Alonso. He hit 2 home runs against the Yankees, and he did it again against the Nationals. He has 3 multi-homer games this season, 17 since he debuted in 2019. Only the Yankees' Aaron Judge has more games during that span. He also drove in a season-high 5 runs in each of those games, had a .304 batting average, an MLB best 12 RBIs over his 6-game week. He is a 3-time Player of the Week winner. He is the first Met to receive this award this season. And I think one of my favorite stats was about Pete Alonso and Daniel Vogelbach. Since stats have been kept since like 1901, Daniel Vogelbach and Pete Alonso are the heaviest. They weighed the most. The 2 players weighed the most that had back-to-back home runs at 575 pounds.
Most of that is Vogelbach.
Yeah.
All right. So while there was the focus, like you mentioned, everything was in on the trade deadline. So not a lot to talk about. I mean, there were still games going on, people winning, people trying to stay in and increase their odds of making it into the playoffs. Some games to watch for this week, Tampa Bay and the Yankees. The Angels are going to be watching that because if the Yankees can't beat Tampa Bay, then they can move ahead of them for the first time all season. That's who they've been looking up at directly for quite a while. Baltimore and Toronto. So once again, that can help the Angels. And of course, it's helping Baltimore. Then you have the Cubs and Cincinnati, both of them fighting for playoff spots. San Diego and Colorado. San Diego just cannot be losing games. And Arizona, San Francisco, another one. Philly, Miami, another one that got playoff implications as they continue to fight it out. So stuff to watch for this week as we move now. Really, everything starts now that the trade deadline's in. We start focusing in on what this next week or so, all these new players start getting acclimated to their new teams. What kind of an effect do they have? and what teams seem to really continue to play well. And does this new guy, on their team, is he helping or is it a problem? The one thing that's going to be tough here is this is another part of the year. August, early September, especially early September, is when you want guys coming back that have been stuck on the wheel of
Corey Kluber is on the 15-day IL with a shoulder injury and has been shut down from pitching all baseball activity. Jonathan India, a guy that we had heard maybe would be traded, possibly was not. He is on the 10-day IL with plantar fasciitis. Chris Bryant, who has become the Anthony Rendon of the Colorado Rockies, is on the 10-day IL with a fractured left index finger.
Maybe that's the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think Anthony Rendon gets injured because he's a hypochondriac.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really want to play. He wishes he'd have gone to the Dodgers instead, because he is a Hollywood kind of guy, he found out. But I think Chris Bryant wanted to go there so nobody knew he was there.
Yeah.
And now he kind of feels like, well, nobody knows I'm here.
Right.
So I better, if I'm injured, then they know I'm
on the wheel. And when is he coming back? Yeah, there's
right.
some, yeah. I did mention Taylor Ward. He is out, he is on the IL, but he's pretty much out indefinitely, not expected to be back this season, but we will see. Johnny DeLuca of the Dodgers is on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain. Last week's player of the week, Alex Kirilloff of the Twins, is on the 10-day IL with a right shoulder strain. He's like, I'm player of the week, taking the week. I just need some time off. And then this one piqued my interest because Nathan Eovaldi is on the 15-day IL with a forearm strain. Now, Bruce Bochy said he expects him to come off the IL when he's first eligible, which is on August 11th. We will see. Does that have, with him being on the IL, did that have anything to do with the Rangers getting, who they got? I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. Is it just a forearm strain? Is it a little bit more?
That's the tough one.
I know. And so... And so that's it. That's it for the will. I did not list all of the Angels, but I have in the past. The will is constructing. We are constructing an Angels only wing. However, right now it will say, Angels wing, but the sign will be replaceable. So if the guys come up, then we can put another team up there that has the most. So there'll always be like a special spot. We got the Tommy John wing of the will. Right now we have the Angels, but it could be another team.
Well, nobody's had more than the Angels. It's going to be tough to beat them.
Yeah, that's not really a category that you want to be number one in.
What is that? It's a dubious honor.
That's right. Yes.
All right. So something that I'd forgotten about. It's been so long since we saw him. We kind of liked him. He's a former Dodger. Hyun-Jin Ryu is making his return to the Blue Jays. And I liked it because the Blue Jays, they have a different feel as a team. They're a younger team. They seem like they hang out together. We've talked about the Dodgers doing that, but these guys do that, and they're very happy to see this is Korean. I don't know if this is right. Hayoung, which is big brother, and they're all happy to see their Hayoung back as they make a push for the playoffs and see if they can finally make.
It's too bad that he's in the American League, so he wouldn't hit anyway. but he was sometimes known with the Dodgers as Babe.
Right. Yep. Because he had some. That's it. Another thing that just found out. He has never officially retired, even though he's now on up for the Hall of Fame. Bartolo Colon.
Yeah, that was. I thought he had retired, and then they said no, he officially retires. So I guess he was unofficial.
Unofficially retired. He's going to retire as a Met.
Of course. What? How else would he? Would he go out?
Why? Yeah. Where else? Why else? And then finally this year we've seen. They're like saying that 9.2% increase overall in attendance in baseball. And then because of some of these changes, we've seen more stolen bases. And in fact, Ronald Acuna Jr. already at 50 plus stolen bases. It's been quite a few years since anybody's stolen bases like he is. I think the last, I don't remember who it was, but the most it's been in quite a few years was like 70 something. And, he's going to pass that. He's going to run away with it, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's going to have, I don't even know how many. I mean, he just, he's a good base runner. Like, I mean, he's still base, but he's just his situational awareness on the base pads is like, it's a clinic every time you see him.
Yeah, he and then who else seems to really have a clue about it is Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh yeah.
He stole 3 bases a few weeks ago, including home.
Mm-hmm.
And these are guys, you're like you said, they're paying attention. They know where the ball is all the time, like eyes in the back of their head. They know when to jump, and they're on it. And him, and then I think I mentioned around the All-Star game, Estuary Ruiz from the A's also leads MLB in stolen bases, and yet wasn't an All-Star. Some of these things are nice to see. Some of these changes have brought back some excitement. In other places, all it's really done is just shorten a game. The games sometimes are not any more exciting than they were before.
That is true. But I have to mention this really quick because it made me laugh. We talked about the trade. The Rangers get Max Scherzer. The Mets get Luis Angel Acuna, Ronald's brother. And of course, this is not true. This is a quote because it was like on MLB Facts. But it said, "He was my brother, and now he is my son." Because the Braves playing the Mets.
Got it. Who's your daddy?
Exactly. I thought that was excellent.
They could probably say that about a lot of teams. The Braves.
Yeah, yeah.
And people who play the Mets could probably say that about.
Yeah, I had to mention that, and then also you were mentioning all the rules and the changes, and we've seen attendance has gone up at the ballparks, and in fact, I think especially I think it was like past Saturday, was one of the biggest. There was almost a 15% or more increase from that date to, from a year ago to now. So you're seeing more. And I think it's good because we've heard, and it's been years, baseball, it's just old, it's not America's pastime anymore. It's boring. It's old people watch it. And it's not just old people watching it. It's everybody, is out there at the game having fun. And if it's, is it because of the new rules? I think MLB likes to think so. I don't know. But I am also excited for the Little League World Series is going to be coming up here pretty soon. Of course, we're going to be talking about that. We always do. But we've already seen some scores. USA, I think it's their 12U team, played New Zealand. No mercy rule. US beat New Zealand 43-1. I mean, the kids on the New Zealand team, please continue to play baseball. Please cultivate your joy of playing baseball. Don't let that loss be the end of your career.
Yeah. Nope, that would be bad. Yeah, we got that. Plus, we have the Field of Dreams game and, of course, the Little League Classic. So we'll talk about all those coming up here in August. There's a lot to look forward to. And now we're in the stretch. What's going to happen? Will these trades pay off? Will the right players come off of the IL in time to get acclimated and back in time for the playoff runs and the playoffs? So much. This is when it all happens in MLB.
It's going to be exciting, we hope.
All right, we parked the bullpen cart. We're rolling the tarp out onto the field. We're calling it a podcast. We enjoyed being here with you talking about trade deadlines this week. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A. And check out our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. There's a Fanatics link there. So now the players that have been traded to your team or to whoever, you can get their jerseys. Or you can, if you never had a jersey from the team they were traded from, because that's your team, you can get that jersey too, and it might be on clearance. And you're helping us out.
Yeah. And you're supporting the podcast and all of that. I always wanted a Scherzer Ranger jersey. I wonder if the Verlander, the black, I like that Mets black jersey.
Oh yeah. It might be on sale.
I couldn't get that one.
I know. I can't do
hey, if it's not Vogelbach, there is just no reason to. Anyway, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about anything that happened from these changes. How did the Dodgers and Angels fare? Did the changes they make, do they seem to be working out for them? Or is there a little ways to go? We'll find all that out and see how this playoff picture continues to unfold. On the next episode of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast, make sure you tell a friend, a stranger, a telemarketer, whoever, to tune in to the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. And don't forget to swing away.